Sam Hamm and Joe Quinones reveal the origins of Two-Face as Harvey Dent suffers a tragic accident while playing hero, sending his on-the-rise life into a chaotic spiral that only the flip of a coin can stabilize. Sam Hamm again outdoes himself with the world building growing out of the Burtonverse this issue, an issue which barely features Batman, instead focusing on the side characters and characters barely mentioned in the film. Harvey Dent becomes the main focus of the issue as we explore his transformation into Two-Face. I really loved how different this take on his split personality is, and I really like how the Two-Face side in his head is almost like this kind of Tony Robbins-esque motivational speaker and sort of urging him to go with the coin. And I like that the coin and the idea with how he comes up with the flip is about diverging paths in a universe and the what ifs, and what if this path was taken instead of this path and what would happen. It's a really fantastic and unique take on the character, and I'm looking forward to exploring more of Dent's new life in the remaining 3 issues. Joe Quinones again continues his fantastic and sharp artwork for the book, and I love how he revealed Two-Face's look with a great build up that ratcheted up the tension with each panel, and it was kind of like a movie monster being revealed for the first time. And I find the design as well is the perfect medium between comic booky and grounded. It's not like the Tommy Lee Jones version where his skin was like all bright pink and there was like blue accents. It's quite realistic and something I could see them doing as a practical effect on a movie. Batman 89 issue 3 continued the series' fantastic world building and fleshing out the Burtonverse's side characters, putting a really creative and unique spin on Harvey Dent's Two-Face origins. It has me excited for the inevitable Batman Two-Face showdown we'll no doubtedly get next issue. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10. Batman 89 issue 3 sees Harvey Dent heroically pull Drake from the burning building, welcomed by a cheering crowd in the loving arms of Barbara Gordon. Drake thanks him for the save as Bruce knows that's the ballsiest thing he's ever seen. Dent's heroics earn him the front page of Gotham Globe's newspaper, and the event is covered by the various news stations of the city, talking about his save and how Jim Gordon resigned after the no confidence vote. In his office, his people tell him his poll numbers are through the roof, and at this point, the election is just a formality since he's bound to win. They ask Harvey what he wants exactly, but Harvey knows he owes them nothing since he's not there for business, he's there to do what's right. 1 year later, Governor Dent is met by Commissioner Barbara Gordon, who is surprising him since she couldn't wait till the weekend to see him. Barbara reveals the big news that Bruce Wayne flipped on Batman, revealing that he is just a small army of mercenaries that Bruce backs, and this goes well beyond him, and half the city council is in on it along with some of Gotham's big shots. She knows that there is something off about Bruce though, but Dent knows that this is what happens when you get raised by your butler. Suddenly Jerome appears asking if he's going to be a big man or a bum. Dent wonders where he came from as suddenly he's back in front of Jerome's shop, told to call heads or tails on the coin flip. Dent calls for heads like he always does, but this time, coin lands on tails, something that's impossible seeing as it's a two-headed coin. A voice tells Dent to cover his face and not breathe in the sulfuric acid, as in reality, Dent is dragged out of the fire by Drake and Bruce as the building explodes. The men are safe though as Dent gets up, scaring the hell out of a firefighter as he wanders off towards the crowd. People begin to scream as Barbara and the others see that half of Harvey's face has been burned off by the battery acid. The man collapses as he's put on a stretcher by the medics. Barbara thanks Bruce for the help as Drake knows that Dent isn't going to be fine. Bruce knows that he inhaled sulfuric acid and he will be lucky if he makes it to the hospital alive. The Reverend knows that Dent went in to save Drake, who says that he was on the roof since he was feeding his birds, but he also saw the guys that did it and they went up the street. Dent meanwhile tells the EMT that he can't breathe and everything itches. The medic gives him something to knock him out as Barb wants them to tell her his real chances. The medic says that pulmonary edema is the immediate threat, and past that, if he inhaled the fumes and they got past his lungs, he could die in 6 months. Meanwhile, Bruce is accosted by a reporter wanting to know what it's like to be a hero, but he doesn't want to give any comment, hating that he is being photographed. Harvey Bullock comes by to see him, asking why he was in Burnside. Bruce says it was personal business, trying to get out of the questioning thanks to an important conference call he has with Zurich. Jerome is interviewed, telling the cops that it was arson, and Drake says he saw them from the roof, knowing it was 4 guys wearing bat gear, remembering the kids up the street dressed like Batman that got beaten up. Bruce soon notices that Catwoman is on a roof nearby, racing home where he finds reporters are camped out. Bruce isn't happy with the reporters there, as Alfred tells him that maybe he should probably use the alternative entrance. The next day, Drake is woken by Jerome and the Reverend, who give him a box of donations since Drake's stuff was all destroyed in the fire. Drake appreciates it as Jerome reminds him he is a hero as well, and Bruce Wayne shouldn't get all of the credit. He asks why the boy slept in the van since he's welcome to stay with him and his family, but Drake knows the people who destroyed the shop were actually after him, and while Jerome has been nothing but kind to him, he will make this up to him. Bruce meanwhile is awoken from his Catwoman-filled dream by the cat Selina left him, as Alfred shows him the flowers Barbara sent over. He also finds that he's on the front page of the paper as he finds the reporters are still camped outside. Alfred tells him of the myriad of calls he's been getting from the reporters as well as Gordon and people who want him to run for governor. That's not all, as Drake Winston also called, as Bruce knows that he thinks Batman carved up the arsonists. Alfred hopes with Selina back on the scene, she will come and take the black cat she left Bruce, but Bruce knows the cat's no trouble, despite Alfred knowing better. In downtown Gotham, a lawyer says that his clients who supposedly committed the arson have been targeted twice in 1 week and have been assaulted and beaten and humiliated, and they are filing a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against the police. Gordon tries to get Culp to make this go away, but the man knows he overestimates his powers, and he'll do what he can to deal with it. Bruce meanwhile meets with a doctor regarding Dent's condition, soon also meeting with Barbara, introducing her to the doctor, knowing that he wants to fly Dent to Switzerland to receive the best in the world treatment. Barbara knows their insurance definitely won't cover that since they're normal people, but Bruce says that he can deal with it, knowing that they need Dent back. Harvey meanwhile awakens in a nightmare where a version of himself shows him how he is the version where Dent saved the people while the Harvey in the bed didn't. His other self reminds him of the quantum mechanics lecture they once heard about how the universe can diverge from one event, wanting to show him something. His mind shows him different worlds, one where Dent never lived and died as a baby, or one where he went to jail as a kid and his career never took off, or in his perfect world where he ran for governor and married Barbara Gordon. He knows it took a million tiny accidents to put him there and a million tiny others to put Dent in that bed. The perfect Dent shows him the coin, wanting him to think of the power in the choices they make, and they can split the universe in two with a toss of a coin. Dent awakens to Barb waiting on him, telling him that he got almost 200 cards and letters wishing him well. She tells him that Bruce came by to check on him, but Dent gets angry at the mention of the supposed White Knight. He snaps out of it though, knowing that Bruce is a good man and his true friend. He snaps again and knows that he needs his coin, beginning to etch into one side of it, knowing that it's got no power and he's fixing it, since he's giving it two possible outcomes, a yes or a no, or a black and a white. He flips the coin, wondering if Barbara loves him, as she says that he knows she does, and luckily, the coin proves it, making Dent think that the universe works for him. Elsewhere, Batman suits up and gives chase to Catwoman, catching up to her as the woman knows that he would follow the note she left. Bruce knows that this is the rooftop where she stabbed him in the ribs, but Selina reminds him that he burnt her with acid on that rooftop as well, and she still has to wear long sleeves because of it. The two kiss as Catwoman asks if he's going to punish her, but Bruce thinks that maybe they should take a holiday down the Mexican coast for 3 weeks. Selina knows that sounds very tempting, but she's got a civilian business venture to deal with, telling Batman that she's being paid by some rich creeps to put people behind bars. Batman thinks that she's holding grudges as Selina snaps, saying she always forgets he's always about morality while beating up street punks while the billionaire boys club bleeds the city dry. Batman defends himself, saying that he stopped a $31 million heist, but Selina knows he doesn't even know who was behind it or why they were stealing the money. She says that he doesn't notice the criminals he eats lunch with every day, and the two of them could own this city if he just got over himself. She mentions that she talks to her shrink about Bruce, surprising the man, but she knows that the therapist thinks it's all just fantasies since she's got 6 clients claiming to be the Batman. She knows there's even a 14-year-old boy who thinks he's Batman's sidekick and wears a yellow cape. Bruce tries to get some more information from her as explosions rock the city as the arsonists attack again. Bruce knows the city is starting to burn, but Selina knows that that's the type of problem they can't help with. Catwoman knows that they should probably start over, thinking that fires are romantic, as Dent watches the news report on the other arson attacks. The Reverend knows that a good man lays in hospital fighting for his life because of them. He promises to continue Dent's fight since he was the soul of Gotham. Dent flips his coin to see if he'll still be the soul of Gotham, but lands on the marked side, knowing to hell with Gotham and its soul.